Feeling super.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So let's see, make sure that we got all of the bells and whistles in place.
Yes,
And
sir.
I believe we are currently good to go. Let me just check one more feed over here.
All right, I'm gonna start a little watch party. Hopefully that'll get popping.
All right, sounds good. Well, man, I am so excited to have the mega entrepreneur, the mega national author, the real estate investor. Man, thank you, Victor Johnson, for taking time out of your schedule and being with me on our Team Coleman. I'm sorry, Team World Builders Success Series.
That's right. I
My
appreciate the invite, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, it's definitely a blessing to have you. Definitely on a weekend, man. And and I just wanted to get started. We got a little messed up yesterday, but I'm hoping we'll have a full interview for today. Is that right?
That is right. Absolutely. Got some good information to share with the folks out there.
Well, let me ask because my wife and I have been interested in getting you on our Success Series podcast for a while now. And where did you grow up? What's what part of the state did you grow up in?
So I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland Bay Area. I consider myself an 80s baby. I was born in the 70s, but definitely my roots is back there in the Bay Area, California, man.
Wow, man, you look like you're in your mid 20s. So that's a blessing in disguise, I guess, right?
Appreciate that. I definitely, the Grays are winning though, bro. I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you. Let's go ahead and get started. I know that um, you are a real estate investor, and you have several properties that you have purchased and now managed. But before we get there, how did you get started? I understand you were in the collection debt business. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. So just a quick rundown. Grew up in the Bay Area, probably early 90s, moved to Atlanta with my dad and his family.
Okay.
Started having kids, started doing my thing, and went to college for a minute, but
Okay.
I ended up in the collection in the mid 90s. It was a little bit more rugged back then to collect on debts. You could do a few things differently.
Wow.
It's compliant and regulated, but ended up finding myself, having kids again and living check to check because I was
Okay.
trying to take care of them, and was horrific. I mean, I had low 500s for 17, 18 years of my life
Stop.
while managing collection agencies.
Stop. No
Yeah,
way.
people
No
out to
way.
collect the debts, and I'm not paying my bills right on my own. So
Okay.
that's how that happened. And around 2012, I addressed some of that, and in 2013, I moved to Texas, and that's really where we started getting involved with the real estate investing.
Okay. Okay. So you were working for a debt collection agency and having credit scores in the 500. We'll talk about that in just a minute as well. But at what point, I mean, was there something that kind of triggered your success mindset in terms of making that shift from saying, okay, look, here's where I am, but here's where I am attempting to go? What helped make that shift there?
Well, absolutely. So around 2011 or 12ish, my kids were basically turning into teenagers. I'm like, man, I have to produce more. I got to be able to, provide better for them.
Mhm.
It wasn't that we were broke. I had cars and, nice apartments and clothes, but
Okay.
my credit just wasn't where it needed to be. And so I wanted to be able to provide for them and start building a legacy, man. As
Where
you,
I am,
as the natural maturity. And I just started feeling like, I need to get serious about it. And there were a couple of events that happened. One particular family vacation where, I really was big on taking the kids out of town in the summertime. And I ended up trying to rush to get a car on a Friday afternoon, speeding down from Atlanta to Florida. It was probably the worst vacation ever. had to get this cheap hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and all this stuff happened. I got a ticket on the way down. We
Wow.
basically ended up turning right back around. And that was one of those moments that was like, you know what? If my credit was better, I could have had this all laid out far in advance instead of waiting till Friday when my check account hits, hit my deposit hits the bank, and then trying to put all this together in a 2-3 day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just one of those aha moments like, you know what, man, this is not where it's at. I got to get it together. So
Okay.
using the knowledge that I have from the collection industry, I actually applied it to my own life and started tackling those collection accounts that I had on my credit that was
Okay.
really bringing my scores down.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask you, because in order to deal with credit issues and sometimes errors that are on the credit report, um, you got to have at least some capital in order to deal with stuff as well. Were you in a position to actually do that then, or did you have to rev it up in some fashion and in some form of fashion in order to make that happen? What was that journey like?
So, my climb in the collection industry, I started from agent to team lead, supervisor, management. So I was always progressing at work, and I really never had the issue of income. I wasn't making, six figures at the time, but I was probably making 70 grand a year.
Okay.
My money was going in the wrong direction.
Okay.
What really helped me is we used an app called mint.com at the
Okay.
time. There's several of them out there now, but my wife and I plugged all of our income, all of our debts and everything into this app. And it basically put a pie chart together and showed us where we're going. And we realized by looking at that, we both, after we picked ourselves up from the floor, we saw that we were spending more money eating out than we were for our rent. And so we made a challenge to ourselves to, let's just chip at that. So we were paying, let's say $800 a month in rent, but we were spending about $1,000 a month eating out, all our combined from lunches to dinners and all that stuff. So we just made a challenge to ourselves. Let's just bring that down under the rent amount.
Okay.
And then that helped, and we applied a little bit of that money to some debts. And then the next month it became a bigger challenge. Well, let's see if we can get it down to 500 and then move that money into it. So it was really about shifting the money at more so than trying to increase my earnings. My earning, the money was just going in the wrong directions, man.
Okay.
That's really what it was.
Okay. So you guys made tremendous sacrifice, and you were willing to do that because you established a goal and a term. Did you have like a 1-year goal or a 3-year goal? What was that like?
We had a specific, we were trying to move an apartment to a house. So we had a specific goal to get the scores up within 6 months.
Okay.
But my full goal to get to 700 was within a 12-month period of time. And, we started with the eating out part of it. It became, let's move to the next thing. Our utilities. Are we leaving cell phones chargers plugged up in the wall too much? Can we bring that utility bill down? Can we, it became really, I'll be honest, my wife was a trooper because I pretty much took us from this comfortable situation to where I was like, look, we almost got to go in caveman mode so we can get this goal accomplished. And, as you know, that's what sometimes to get to your success, you got to make some sacrifices and go backwards to go forward. So that was our mission in 2011 and 2012. And all in all, it took about a year, maybe a year and a couple of months to go from 525 to a 700 credit score.
Okay. So, and let me ask you, I don't want to get too personal, but did you have to deal with a lot of debt settlements, or did you have to add on additional trade lines to the repositories? What was kind of your strategy, if you don't mind sharing?
No, absolutely. I'm an open book on this because I really love to let people know that it's not as big of a challenge as you think. But the first thing was to get those collection accounts taken. So again, me being on the other side of the table from the collection industry, I knew there were certain things that you could do to negotiate those accounts at a very low percentage. I also knew what time of the month to contact. End of the month is a good time. Everybody get their numbers. So
whoa, hold on. That's a great strategy. So you're saying at the end of the month is the better time to contact debt collectors for possible better settlement options?
Absolutely. I mean, and that's not a guarantee in every situation, but,
Sure.
it's just like any other sales type of job. They have numbers to hit and the people on the other side of the phone. I was a bill collector. So
Okay.
it was about hitting that goal before the month was out. And so I knew to call 2, 3 days before, needed to have that money ready now. I
Right. Right.
motivated,
Okay.
but I also knew that I could probably get an extra 5, 10, maybe 20% off if I was able to come up with that payment and call them with a professional tone, being professional. These are real people on the phone. So
Okay.
I'm calling there with a crazy attitude and think people, they don't have to do any of this for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it was important to me to maintain that attitude. And I just remembered all those things from when I was collectors. It's like, hey, it depend on their attitude, their situation, their hardship. Let me work with them. And so
Okay.
I knew that that would help me. Plus, I worked in the debt purchasing industry. So
Mm.
debt purchasers are the ones that buy those collection accounts and
Mm-hmm.
charge off after the original creditor has written it off for tax purposes.
Okay.
Debt purchasers, I'm just going to say it, I'm not in that industry anymore. A lot of times, if they're spending more than 10 cents on the dollar, that's a bad deal for them. So I
Mm.
knew that if I could approach them with 20, 30% of that debt on the dollar, that they were doubling, maybe tripling up on their money. And so it was a win for them from a business perspective. And it certainly was a win for me to only have to pay, 40, 30% of my actual debt and get
Okay.
my credit
Huh.
account.
Interesting. Interesting. That's a great strategy and tactic. Definitely. Wow. Um, and speaking of book, you have written a book about some of the real life experience that you came in order to become a mega real estate investor, right? How did that come about?
That's the book there. If you can see that, folks,
Uh,
Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness. I
okay.
wrote that book as, basically my journey of how I got from the low credit score that I had in that 500 range
Okay.
to the 700s. And I consistently keep it there. But there was a definite mindset shift that had to occur for that to happen. And how the book came about is it was released last year, December 2018. And I started writing the book in June or July of 2018.
Okay.
And it came about because, by then I had already had a few rental properties. And my sister, Enrica Maddox out there in
Okay.
Atlanta, asked me if I would get on a call with a couple of her friends and just talk about how we got into real estate investing. And after a couple of those calls, I realized that, well, a lot of people are coming from different angles. Some people need the mindset part of it. Some people need the credit part of it. Some people need to increase their earnings. All that was going on. And I thought it would be more effective to impact
Mm,
more people by putting the story in the book and
mm,
actually spell it out, because I
mm-hmm,
went through all of that stuff, the
mm-hmm.
fear, the credit, the low income part of it, or not enough income to invest. And so in 110 pages, I was able to tell my story. And really, it's about the mindset part of it, Tirrell, man. It's really about having that why,
Mm,
being super motivated to stay focused on something to completion.
mm.
And that's what we talk about here in this book, man. I'm very proud of this. This is something that I can pass down to my family.
Right.
And even my granddaughter can look at this 20 years from now and say, man, my granddad did it. He built something for us. And I'm really happy about that.
Wow. Wow. And first off, I can't believe you're a grandfather, but okay, I'll go ahead and take that.
Yeah, it's new. It's new. It's a month
Yeah.
in. Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Speaking of success mindset, was there a particular person, book, or revolution that helped put you on that success mindset, or were you already there, or was it a shift? What was that transition, and what did you pick up first, or who did you listen to first?
Well, obviously, my mom and dad constantly were in my ear throughout the years, but it finally some of the stuff they were saying. But the book that I read that
So they were
really,
planting the seeds, and when you were ready, so as they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, huh?
there you go. How about that?
Okay.
That's right. And
Okay.
so my dad actually turned me on to a book, Think and Grow Rich, not the one from Napoleon Hill, but Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, that was written by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. And he gave me that book, man, in the early 90s. And I remember reading it 2 or 3 times back then. And it got me through my work career. But for some reason, whatever I was going through in my career professionally in 2011, I picked it back up. And, man, it had a whole different look. You know, reading it with that mindset, it put me on this tear, man, of just no fear. You know, and even if I had the fear, I was going to do it anyway. And so that would be a book I would highly recommend to folks out there, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough's version of Think and Grow Rich. But there's obviously several out there, but that was my particular one that it lit the fire up under me, man. And I've been on a mission.
Let me ask you, how long did it take to write your book?
It took me 6 weeks to write that book.
Wow.
I would come home from work and I would jump right into the laptop and start knocking out chapters. And again, I already knew the story. So I knew exactly how I wanted to tell it, because things progressed for me from the mindset part of it. Then I got, I started seeing results with my credit score going up. That motivated me to start. I'm really big on law of attraction. And so I started speaking the success that I wanted into my life, putting my vision boards up, putting it on my screensaver, putting it on the mirror in my bathroom. I was just speaking the future self of, into existence, man. And so that was.
How would you deal with the ups and downs, though? Because, that's not an easy process, as you probably already know. And, I guess you have to have systems in place to be able to manage the lows of when you're on that trajectory of the success mindset pattern. So how did you deal with that?
So it's a great question, because it absolutely was a lot of those in the beginning phase of it. But again, as I started getting one victory, I would look back at that and say, well, man, I didn't think that victory would happen, and it did. So, all right, let's just keep moving. So I would say to give yourself a pat on the back for the small celebrations of victory that you do have, and then keep moving. Whatever you do, do not stop the movement, because that fear sets back in, the doubt sets back in. And for me anyway, and everybody's different. We all have different personality types, but for me, it worked that I was able to look back at some of those challenges that I had to overcome in the previous month or 6 months. And that was just enough to get me back up to keep moving towards the next thing. And so I just continued to check off things. I was big at that time. I kept an organizer, and I was the type of guy that I would put these little dashes on each day. What do I need to do? And I just would get so excited to put a slash through that dash. So slash kept coming through the dashes, man, it would just motivate me more, and that would get me through the day, and I would look back at, that was a victorious day. I accomplished more. I failed at,
Okay. Man, that's fantastic. Boy, that's that's not an easy thing to do. Man, let's talk about, I know you have several investment properties now, but let's talk about your first one. And that's always sometimes the toughest one to get out of the gate on. And what was your mindset then, and how did you go about doing that and taking that leap?
Great question. So first thing is, 20 years before that, I was a guy up in the middle of the night watching the Carlton Sheets, videos. Those of you that are old enough to know those. This guy was buy houses, no money down, and I read the books, got the videos. I just never took the action, man. And so my wife and I did come across a mentoring program in San Antonio, Texas, which was just south of Austin, where we were living. And so we went through that, and this was one of those times again, man. I said, I'm going to actually finish something that I start for a change. I got to get this done. We got the information. We had enough resources to get it done. And that first house was a little ugly, beat up house in San Antonio, Texas. The coaches were telling you, go with a 3-2, meaning 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And we found one that fit our budget that was a 3-1. So we were scared to death, like, this is not going to work. But again, we just kept moving forward. We were able to invest about 10 grand into that deal. We found a great family that was happy to get in there. We followed the steps that we had learned, and we collected rent. And basically that kind of built something up. And 2 years later, when we sold it, we walked away with $43,000 from our initial 10 grand investment.
Wow.
So we said, this worked. Let's continue to replicate that process.
Okay. What type of financing did you get on that house?
That was hard money lending.
You did a hard money on that?
Hard money on that.
Yeah.
That was a very expensive loan, 15% interest. But they gave us the money that I couldn't otherwise have gotten conventional at that time. Because my credit score was still just on that verge where it wouldn't have been able to get approved for what I needed. Plus, the house needed repairs. They had an abandoned dog in that house, man, that had been there for months. And you can imagine how it looked, him trying to get out and leaving all his feces and everything in there. So
it probably wouldn't have met minimum health and safety standards as required by FHA or some of the conventional lenders.
Not at all. And so that note was about $1,100 out the gate. Unfortunately, the rent was $1,100 out the gate. So I was basically making flat rent for that first few months. But in that period of time, my scores continued to increase. Got it refinanced. And then my note went down from $1,100 down to $500. So
really what you're saying, Vic, is out of the gate, people can get started no matter where they're at, even if you get started with hard money. And if you got a little cash on the side, you can actually put that in and actually get going on it.
That's right. And obviously you can't do that in every market. And, I couldn't even do that in Dallas where I live if I wanted to. But sometimes you got to go outside of your own immediate area to find the deals. If that's what you're trying to do, if that's what you want, go find it because it's out there. And there are ways to manage the properties. We're invested in 3 states now, Kansas, Texas, and Georgia.
3 states, huh?
Right here and manage them.
Wow. Praise God. Praise God. Well, let me ask you this. Purchasing investment properties, you always have the option to hire a property management company. You opted not to do that. Why?
I wanted to keep more cash in my pocket. We were still trying to build up our little nest egg. So, and again, I pretty much invested all the cash I had into the deal. So we wanted to build that back up. And I knew that they would take probably 20-25% to manage the property. And, we were dealing with one family, we were less than an hour drive away. So we felt like at least that first one, let's get it done. And it was janky, man. The whole process was janky. I wasn't a great, I'm not going to say not a great landlord, but I wasn't a great manager of the process of accepting applications. I mean, I didn't know all the tools that were out there. And since then, we've come across a lot of technology and things that help us manage it. And so now
what are some of the tools that you use?
The ones that we used in the beginning was turbotenant.com.
Okay.
We still kind of use that a little bit, but it's a great tool for marketing and screening. But now that we have the properties up and running with tenants, I use cozy.co, COZY.co. My tenants can pay their rent through that application. They can submit maintenance requests through there. They have, a tool where you can get lease agreements through there for your state. So I highly recommend cozy.co.
Fantastic. I'm familiar with both of them. So yeah, that's awesome. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, you're now such on a desired platform now with writing books, and we see you always speaking and educating on financial literacy and everything else. Man, you're already busy. So why get on the platform of speaking now, man?
Well, man, honestly, to whom much is given, much is required, man. And, I've been blessed, and I lived 40 years of my life, check to check, paycheck to paycheck, low credit score. And over these last 5 years, it's been a blessing to have a completely shift in lifestyle and be able to have something and make choices without the hindrance of my poor credit or not having the resources to do things. And, now I go to schools, high schools, colleges, speak to young married couples about just the importance of go through the pain in the beginning so the pain doesn't endure. Let's talk about this stuff. And if you can get out the gates smarter than I did, then you'll have, much better lifestyle earlier on than I did. So I just enjoy that part of it. I enjoy sharing and inspiring people. I was one, since I grew up in the Bay Area, I was part of the Omega Boys Club in the early 90s.
Come
And
on. Come
Dr.
on.
Joseph
Yeah.
Marshall and Jack Jacqua and those guys
Yeah.
had me going to juvenile centers back then and speaking to my peers about, man, when you get out in next month, what you gonna do, bro? Let's come up to the boys club and let's get your life on track. And so I enjoyed that part of it. And they sent me around to black caucuses and stuff at 16. And so it's kind of like a full circle moment for me to be able to do it again.
So you are already speaking at age 15, 16, 17 years old and getting your reps in.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. Have you taken the DISC assessment?
I have taken the DISC assessment.
Okay.
Shout out to CB Phillips and the team there. He gave me the swivel and quite a bit over these last few months. I'm still a work in progress. I certainly am not perfected, but it's definitely something that I would recommend to people. And
okay. Yep.
Definitely, that's the thing to do.
Absolutely. It's kind of widely used in the corporate and the executive world to know your strength and weaknesses. So I'm not surprised to hear that you have done that and knocked that out. Wow, man! You are such a phenomenal leader, Victor, and your progress over the last several years that I've seen has just been on a trajectory upwards, and it's been absolutely amazing. You recently also started a corporation to do and handle a lot of your real estate investments, as well as a lot of the other credit issues that you have, but now you're turning your experience into a business model. Tell us a little bit about that.
So absolutely. Well, first, I'm going to talk about, I have 2 LLCs now, but I'm going to say I got to shout you out, Tirrell, because you introduced me to the accountability calls on Sundays a couple years ago, about a year and a half ago. And that has helped me stay accountable. The guys, if they're tuned in, man, all you guys feed life into me each Sunday night. And so that keeps me motivated as well, man, because we all need each other, man, to help lift each other up. So I appreciate you, and I want to recognize you publicly for that.
Okay.
But my 2 companies is 555 Equity LLC. My wife and I basically started that one about 4 years ago to get our management of our properties under control. So just basically a tax shelter, to be honest with you, and a way for us to kind of ensure that we were protecting ourselves in that situation. And then the main company that I'm pushing is, which the logo you see back here, Nico Don Projects.
Come on, that's a nice little logo. Who did the logo?
Like my man Brandon Powell with Lean On Him Consulting. He's
okay.
an excellent brother here in the Dallas area. And with this company, that's the speaking, the publishing of the book. I'm able to sell online courses about how to get your first rental property and how to do it yourself, credit restoration.
Selling online courses too. Come on. I love it, boy.
Hey man, each one teach one, brother. We got to
share.
Yes,
sir.
And I'm in the process of getting that company minority certified. The hub program, historically underutilized businesses, and that'll allow me to, do some things with the city of Dallas and the state of Texas. And so, yeah, that's where we're going in 2020, brother.
Wow. I mean, my gosh. I mean, what else? What's next? That's what we gonna ask. What's next?
Being a grandfather and just helping, my family continue to grow and make sure that they are all right, because we're not all promised tomorrow. So that's the big thing. And then, of course, supporting my wife, Latasha Johnson, is a realtor here in Dallas. She's got her thing, LJ Realty. She's popping off. And so I'm coming you for your wife. I just good support for her, man. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. We got to support, family first and continue to make sure that we're building a lifestyle that is constantly wealth building, So, oh man, Vic, man, it's now we only schedule a 15, 20 minutes to do this, and here we are already at 30 minutes, man. We got to definitely bring you back to delve more into the credit, because a lot of people don't know how that works, and we just I just need to do a 101, you know, who are the
Absolutely.
repositories and how they go about making the decisions, and how you can go about strategically and effectively deal with the debt settlements and things of that nature. Let me ask you, where can the people buy your book or reach out to you?
Appreciate that very much. So you can get to my website, actually, Victor V. Johnson. It'll take you to my Nico Don Project site,
Okay.
victorvjohnson.com. Also, I'm all over the social, LinkedIn, Victor V. Johnson, and on Instagram, Victor V. Johnson. Facebook, Victor Vinico Johnson, as you see my name down here. So y'all reach out to me if you got credit questions, you want to get into real estate investing. You just need somebody to talk to get you inspired and hyped up, man. That's what I do. Just trying to each one teach one, brother.
Well, let me ask you this, because people sometimes think that you're so busy, and you are busy. I see it. So people can just reach out to you. Is that all right? I mean, that's
Oh,
cool.
absolutely, man. Yeah. I mean, the businesses are, there's automation, there's,
Yes.
systems in
Come
place and
on.
things. So, the back office is clean, bro. So I actually have more time on my hand than I should. And so that's why I got to stay busy. So I really would love if somebody's right on the impetus of trying to go from where they are to the next level, and maybe I can help you. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm here for.
Fantastic. Hey, Vic, I appreciate you jumping on Team World Builders Success Series, man. We're happy to have you on finally after weeks scheduling issues.
Thank you.
But we definitely want to get you back on, and we'll go a lot deeper into what we talked about today to help a lot of our folk out there. All right, my man. Anything else you want to add before we end?
No, man, just thank you again for just all of your mentoring through the last year and a half. I haven't been cut you a check, but you've been mentoring me anyway, so I appreciate that. And you've been a great blessing to my family as well. So thank you so much.
Oh man, fantastic! You are a San Francisco great and native and legend, and people even know, but they already know. So Vic, glad to have you on, and I'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, family.